Hello, and welcome to another episode of Peculiar Endeavors podcast. I'm Emily, and I am your host. In this episode, I thought I'll just tell you why and how I became interested in tarot and why my favorite deck is the one that is my favorite. I don't want this video to be like educational. I just want to kind of like do my little story thing for now and just tell you like how I became interested in tarot. I have always been interested in divinations or divinatory tools, I guess. When I was a child, both my grandmother and my grandmother, and actually my godmother as well, they were really into like they were just witches, I guess. I don't know. No, I mean they were like seerses. Is that the correct word? um my godmother used to she used to love to do this pendants thing. So many times she took her ring and she used to do like a pendulum thing with it. And my old grandma, she was filled with like old, herbal remedies and ideas and stories. And she could just like look at you and she just, I don't know, she just knew. And she used to, she used to read palms a bit as well. And my grandmother was really into like angels, and she was very spiritual in that sense. She was like the most amazing humanitarian, I'd say. So I'm an Aquarius sun sign. My grandma was an Aquarius sun sign, and my old grandma, she was also Aquarian. And there was like, I used to love spending time with them. And it was just like the three Aquarians, and it was like three different generations. And yeah, it was a great time. So I always basically had, that side in my life. And even though I grew up, or I didn't grow up, I was born in a Catholic country. Uh, it was, yeah, I wasn't really, yeah, going to church was like not really my favorite thing to do. I didn't mind it. I think I was a child that had many questions, and the questions that I had were not really answered by the church, so to speak, or by Christianity. When I was a kid, I must have been about maybe 6 years old or so, maybe younger, but I think around 6 years old. I used to go to like a Sunday school type of thing, and it was led by nuns. And one day, I just didn't go there, uh, and I asked my mom, and I also asked her when I got older. I asked her like, what, like, how come I was going there, and then suddenly I didn't go. But apparently they didn't like the questions I had. And I think like what really annoyed them when I asked them, what if like God and the devil is the same person. And they just did not like that at all. But it's like, I was a kid. I just wanted to know. I wanted to know all these answers. They were talking about so many different things. And, you know, many times when I was a child, I heard, well, if you don't do this, God is going to punish you. Or I used to hear, like, well, the thunder is God being angry with you because you did something bad. And I kind of like, to me, I was like, well, but if God is so good, why does he want to punish people? So this means that, like, also the devil is really evil. So this means that if God punishes, this means that it's the same kind of person. That's what I say, is a person. And these are the kind of like, that was like, these are the kind of questions I had when I was a kid. I apparently, my mom said I started talking very early on. And she said, I never stop questioning things. Everything, like we could be like on a train and I just questioned everything. What's this? What's that? Why is this like that? Why is it constant? Constant. It must have been like really annoying for her, but I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know how things work, And I'm Aquarius. I know. And when you're a child, you have to get your information from somewhere, right? So I was always, a little bit out there. And I remember we went to this marketplace once, and I was very young. And I really got like, they had this pendant made out of wood, like a wooden ankh. And I got obsessed with it and I didn't want to leave until I got it. So I got this ankh. I wonder if I should still have it somewhere. My mom might have it somewhere. And yeah, that was like, I was just obsessed with ankhs since that day. And I still am. And it's just like strange, I didn't really push myself into looking into like spiritual things and stuff. I was just interested in that since I was born, I think. And I guess when I was older, obviously tarot cards I think was the most accessible thing. When I was like a really young teenager, or maybe I must have been maybe younger, I got like my first set of tarot cards, which is the normal, Rider-Waite-Smith, and I was just playing with them. Really, it wasn't like, I was just too young to understand what it was. I just thought it was so cool. And I used to read for myself and for my friends. Obviously, I was using a book. So I was looking up every single card as I went. And I used to like write everything down. I remember for a while I was like super into it. And I used to when I was reading for my friends, I used to ask them to give me something personal of theirs, like a ring or like a hair clip or something. And I used to like meditate upon that. And then I did like a tarot reading. And I just looked at the card. It wasn't like seriously, I can't there's no way I was very old, maybe like 12 or something. Maybe 13, somewhere like that. And I just really enjoyed it. And I remember during that time I was really into like herbs, and I remember I had a book about crystals. And I was reading them, and it really like interested me. I can't say that I'm not really into crystals. I have not really been reading too much about herbs. I kind of remember a lot of things, but I kind of lost that. But tarot stayed with me. So after that, I there was this shop. I know I mentioned it before. It was like a spiritual shop where you could buy anything in there. That was like my favorite shop to go to. And there was like books and jewelry and cards and all of that. And I used to go there and buy things. But then also I remember so when I was in school, you have like uh what do they call it in English? When you're in school, but then they send you off to like a workplace for like a trial. But I think you guys know what I mean. I have no idea what it's called in English because I never went to an English school. But basically, like they send you off for like a week or two, and you have to do like a internship trial thing at work. And obviously, I wanted to do it in that shop because I was like, oh my god, if I can just do it in that shop, that would be so cool. Just sit there all day. So that's what I did, and I learned a lot. And the woman that owned the shop, she was so knowledgeable about like healing, and she taught me a lot of things. And she had friends that were tarot readers, and they used to come in, have coffee, and it was a really pleasant place. And obviously she had these books where she used to order things for the shop. And in that book I found this like vampire tarot deck. And I don't remember the exact name. I wonder if it was just the vampire tarot, but it was like, I looked it up because I was very curious, and I looked at the pictures and I was like, oh my god, that is just so lame. But it was the only vampire deck at that time, and I always been into vampires, so I really wanted it, and so I got that. And I remember I used to use that a lot. I think mainly I never really understood symbols as such, but I just really loved like the pictures and having the deck. And he's just like something with like shuffling the cards, and like even normal cards. When I was like younger, I used to love shuffle cards and just play with them. I used to do like this solitaire thing when I was a kid as well. It's a bit weird, but I liked spending time on my own. And I always incorporated like spiritual things. I remember as well, like once when I was very little, I put all my dolls on a shelf and said it's an altar. So yeah, I was a bit strange like that. But yeah, I had this vampire deck, and I continued just for fun, having fun. And I think I just didn't think much of it, and I didn't really I didn't have anyone to talk to, so I just did it on my own because most people thought it was weird, or they knew that I had tarot. They asked me to read for them, so did I did that. But yeah, I used to have the books to help me, like guidebooks. And then when I grew up and I went to school and stuff, I really kind of lost uh, this whole tarot thing. I was still kind of interested in it, but I didn't have time. I studied design, so I was just sewing a lot, making a lot of patterns and clothes and printed things, and I was just really into that. And I still had like this like witchiness, and I read the Wiccan Bible at that time as well, and I thought that was really cool. And it's this whole like vampire, like witchy thing back in the day when I was really really young. That was like, I was just really attracted to that that kind of style. And yeah, it just interested me, like magic and still like herbs and like I used to love like I remember used to love watching like movies as well, like Merlin and just like fantasy films like that. I mean, is it fantasy? Who knows? But yeah, I haven't really I moved to London and I was working so much. I just didn't really have time to do uh I didn't really have time to kind of like do things, but I really missed doing tarot. And I remember I think it was like one of those times when I felt I needed like a guide or something to kind of like help me to sort my thoughts or what I should do or something to kind of show me a clearer path. And I thought like, oh my gosh, why don't I just get tarot cards? So the first well, I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, obviously I had that vampire tarot cards, but I was now in London, so I thought I'll just get a set here. So I looked it up and I found another deck with vampires, um, which I think is now out of print as well, which is so annoying. But I got the deck of vampires, which also had the Phantasmagoria book in it. And that book is amazing. But that was the deck that I had, and I used to use it for myself. I never read anyone else with that deck because I didn't really tell anyone that I was into tarot because nobody was into tarot, and I thought like nobody would care. It was just a thing that I did for myself. It did guide me, it did kind of bring clarity to the things I was doing, and I did really enjoy it. But yeah, I used to use it for myself mainly. And then I had my time of dancing and all of that. And I think it was during the lockdown, things just got a little bit crazy in a sense of like, there was no dance classes anymore. I started doing yoga at home and I was at home a lot. And I kind of, kind of got into tarot more then because I remembered I was like, oh my gosh, I still have this deck. So I looked into it a little bit more then. But also I wasn't really sure. I wasn't looking into like different decks at that time. I just had that one because I was like, oh, it's a vampire deck, so I'm just going to stick with it because it's just so cool. Because it doesn't really matter at this point, I'm like, they all are very similar to like one another. Because I never looked into the actually like what's happening here and there. um, I work in very strange ways, but I really like this deck, and so the actual book or the actual deck is more set up as the Thoth deck, or Thoth, or Tot, or Thoth, or however you want to pronounce it, really. It is, it's more structured as the Thoth deck. And during the lockdown, I thought like, oh my gosh, I actually do want to get into tarot a little bit more. So obviously I Googled things. YouTube took me down the rabbit hole. And and I found loads of interesting videos. But then I also think that I'm the kind of person, see, when I start learning something, I just don't like start learning from like the basics. I always just throw myself in there. Deep end, like if it's difficult, I'll be interested. It's just so annoying that I do this. But I did that. And I found Joe's videos on mainly the top deck. And I think the way he speaks is just very easy to understand, but he's also speaks like he has so much information in like one sentence. And I was just like, oh my God, I was so fascinated. And also, he was talking about the Thoth deck. Now, like, I knew about the Thoth deck prior because of books I was reading. And it was during the time when I came to contact with the Accession Bible and a Book of Orion. And I know that there's cards mentioned there. And somehow, like, that has it just because I already had the Vampire Tarot, and then these books were mentioning it as well. I kind of like felt connected to the deck, but I never really had the guts to kind of explore the Thoth deck until I started watching videos and actually looking at the pictures and having someone like explaining, about the symbolism and just like the colors and the artist. And I do know a lot of people are not really in favor of Aleister Crowley, and he's an occultist. I mean, people always like to discuss, what he did and how he was, and a lot of people don't use this deck because they think it's cursed or he was a bad man and all of that. I personally, I believe that he he was very ahead of his time, and he definitely did some things that are very out there, and maybe things that people should not be doing. But was he the most wicked man? I'm not sure. You have to think about like the time he lived in as well. And his father, I believe, was a preacher as well, so he had a very strange upbringing. And I think all in all, it's all about the time. And also he was not afraid for people calling him, it's most people like to have good reputation and stuff, but I mean, it was just a plus for him, I guess, to just be a wicked man. Like, why not? And I don't want to like go into too much about him because he participate in making of this deck, but it was actually Freda that painted the pictures, and she was the one, as far as I know, that wanted to make these, and she was the one that was pushing for these paintings, she wanted to collaborate because occultists, Aleister Crowley, say whatever you want. He had a lot of knowledge, and she also had a lot of knowledge, but together she knew that they could make something, exceptional. And as the Rider-Waite-Smith, I find personally, yeah, it's a nice deck, but I also find like there's so many like hidden things there. As in like, it's very like nice. I don't know how to explain this. It's very difficult. It's not that I dislike it. I just find that the symbolism in that deck is it really feels like there's a lot of hidden things, as in like it's not even on the cards. It's just very subtle, it does give, I guess, a lot of space for intuition as well, because most of the cards, they depict like a scene. So I guess it's a little bit easier that way. And yes, I think it's a great deck. I'm not mocking it or anything, but I think once you start studying the Thoth deck, I find, it's just so incredibly rich with symbolism, and I think the artwork is amazing because it's not just art because it's pretty. Every like single line, has a meaning to it. There's something that has like, it's just the symbolism in the actual the paintings I find just amazing. And it is a lot. And like I said before, I think it might not be the deck that you want to start off with if you're interested in tarot, because it's a lot. But I liked to just jump in there, and I thought that would be a good idea to just jump into the Thoth Tarot. So I got myself I have a lot of different editions of this deck as well, because it's so old. It has come in so many editions. And the first one I bought was like the current edition that they had. And I remember I sent it back because I opened it and the smell of the deck was just it just smelled like petrol. It was just, I hated the smell. And I actually sent it back. I don't know, it didn't felt right. And it sounds really silly maybe, but I just really did not like that print of the deck. So I went online and I actually found like an old greenie, which is like, I actually don't really know like which type of box it is from, because the seller sold it to me with no box. And I thought I really liked it. I said because I like the backs. So I liked the backs because they didn't have the white borders. And I spoke to the man and he said, look, it doesn't have a box and there are pencil marks on one of the cards. And I was like, it's fine. So he sold it to me for like, it was fairly cheap, because like I know that the greenies, they can cost like so much money. But I was like, that's fine, not a problem. But then he's like, oh, have a look at the pictures that I have. So I did. And basically the pen mark that he was referring to was the actual mark on the painting. I think he wasn't aware. It was like the two of discs, and it has a symbol on top. And that was, he thought someone actually made a pen mark, but there was no pen mark. So I used that deck most of the time. But also, like, those decks are just so big. So I did ended up like buying a smaller one. And I did cut the borders because I made it into like, I made like the medium sized deck into a small deck so I could take it with me. But I do have like few of them. Maybe I should make a video of like the different prints that I have, because this is also another obsession that I have, because the different prints and the different times have slightly different colors, and they came up with a new print, I think it was last year, and I have to say it's just extremely disappointing. Like, it, oh, so disappointing. I just really, really do not like it. I have it, I trimmed it, and I really don't like it. So you're probably better off if you can find like a vintage one somewhere. You're better off. I think it's just, I don't know why they don't do these pictures justice, but here we are. So yeah, I was watching a lot of Joe's videos, and he started like a course. And I remember sitting and I was like, this is great because I can do this online. And obviously, he's over in America. And I never came across anyone in real life that was into tarot. I just never came across anyone. I mean, I don't know. It was probably the people that I had around me, but I just never came across anyone that was interested in what I was interested in. And I sent him an email and said I was interested. So he set up a meeting with us. And I think it was just a few questions, to check, like, do you really want to do this? What do you want to use it for? Just to have a feel, really. And I remember, like, oh my gosh, will you be able to pay for this? Because I just moved so London is extremely expensive, and I just moved to a studio flat, and it was very, very close. I was like, oh my God, am I going to survive? So silly, but that was like my dream place to live in. So I thought to myself, can I do this? But then I was like, well, if you don't do it, then you'll never learn. So I just jumped in, and I paid for the course. I did the course, which was great. It was really good. The only thing was that I loved doing the course on the lives, because you could obviously ask questions and it was more interactive. But the problem was it was in America, so it started late in the evening. I remember, I think, depending if it was summer or winter time, it was either at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. And we could go on 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. It was just so interesting. It was great, but I got really tired sometimes as well. So, and I was working, so it got a little bit difficult. I watched back as well, because everything was recorded. You could watch back. And yeah, I do have a certificate actually, which is great. But because of that, and I think because we started going to the office again a few times a week, I was just too tired to do it in the evening, so I just stopped. I was like, I just couldn't do it. And I'm really annoyed. I should have just kept doing it. I should just kept doing the courses because I feel like I've missed so much. But because of Discord as well, I got back into talking to some people, new people that have been taking his course, and then a group for like a European group was created, and we're still going strong. We try to meet up like online once a week just to practice, talk about tarot cards. It's very, easygoing and free, as in like free spirited. We kind of talk about everything really, and it's really great. But yeah, I really do miss the course because, to be honest, like I feel like I learn and learn, but I still feel like I know nothing. It's that much. It's just so much. But I also know I'm very hard on myself, and I want to remember more things, but I tend to forget things. But I'm also very intuitive, and my practice, I really want to get better at it. But also, I tell you something, I'm really not very good with astrology. For some reason, I just cannot remember things when it comes to astrology. I'm so bad. I don't know why. Um, I was. It was much better and easier for me when I was younger. I was actually really good at astrology, but now not as good. But I'm slowly getting back into it. I got the oracle card, the Black Moon astrology cards, and I thought they would probably help me a lot in my practice. So I'm trying to use those, and it does help because you have a card and there's meanings and stuff. Talking too much about nothing again, but yeah, I have currently, obviously when you're into tarot, you kind of accumulate different decks and you start to understand how the structure of them, and you start to connect with certain artworks, and you start to like certain maybe artists. So I really think like whatever deck you like or you're comfortable with, that's your deck really. I think yeah, for sure, if I had to just choose like the one deck, it will definitely be the Thoth deck, but because that's, to me, is just so much information, and there's quite a few books that you can buy as well and read. And actually, Joe just wrote a book about tarot as well. I'm still waiting for it because I'm in the UK and it's been delayed. And I'm so looking forward to this book because it's taking him like 6 years to write this. And the way he just puts information together is just very accessible for my brain. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this book. So yeah, I think like if you're not really into tarot like a lot, and if you don't have time to read books, like a lot of books, or you're not that into like too much detail maybe, then like I guess the Thought Tarot would be a little bit like much, but it's still doable. Like you don't have to know everything. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to know everything. You'll learn as you go. That's another thing. I think you just have to believe in yourself. Literally believe in yourself. be connected to the deck and learn as you go as well. I think the Rider-Waite-Smith is a little bit more like it's easier to digest as such, and because also the pictures are scenes, so every single picture has a scene, whilst the Thoth deck doesn't. So it can be a little bit harder to see, but you know, it's really like up to the person. You really have to connect with the deck you're working with, otherwise it will be difficult. And yeah, the actual system is slightly different. For example, in the court cards, they are slightly different. While the Rider-Waite-Smith, they go by page, knight, queen, and king. The Thoth deck has different cards, and I know I've seen books with different order of the cards as well. So the order that I follow is knight, queen, prince, and princess. But if you would go by Rider-Waite-Smith, it would be princess, knight, queen, and prince, if it makes sense. But yeah, you get into it, I think, depending on like what system. There's also like a few other changes. But yeah, I think all in all, if you are interested in tarot and you would like to start, I think the best thing is to find a deck that you like. I wouldn't suggest starting with a deck that is like too modern or too new, because it loses a little bit of I mean, personally anyway, it loses a little bit of like the symbolism, but it might be easier to read if you want to read with intuition. I would choose probably like one of these. Probably Rider-Waite-Smith is something that everyone starts with, and so did I when I was a kid. Like, so did I. I think that is the like the go-to deck. I also like a deck called Heaven and Earth. It might not be to everyone's taste because it's a pretty dark deck, because of the coloring. It's pretty gray with some reds in there, which I really like. It's a bit annoying when it's too dark in the room, but what I really like about this deck is that it has like the art really looks a little bit like Rider-Waite-Smith, but you have all the like planetary symbols and all the keywords and things of the Thoth deck. So it feels like a really nice kind of mesh of them too. It does have the princesses there as well, but I find like that is like one of those decks that I like to use quite often as well, just because it's just such a nice mix of them too, and you kind of get like the best of both worlds, I'd say. Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning, and I think you never stop learning when it comes to tarot, but you have to be interested in it, and you have to put in a little bit of time to read and to remember things, which I many times don't. But yeah, I would love to make some more podcasts about tarot. I know a few people have asked me to do it as well. I'm not really sure exactly like what to talk about, because there's so many videos and podcasts talking about tarot. And I was considering of maybe asking some of my friends and pick some topics we could talk about, because I think like when it comes to tarot, it's really interesting to see like how one card can have different meanings, or not different meanings, but like how different people can see one card. For example, I find that really fascinating. Sure, like every single card has a specific place, specific symbols and meanings, but every person that is looking at it will see something different. And when you're reading cards as well, you don't have to know everything. It's not like all the symbols are going to pop up when you're reading for someone or for yourself. You will know like what it is that is trying to tell you. I know it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense if you know, like if you have been reading tarot cards, like you just know. So it's not like you have to convey every single thing on the card, because some things might not be applicable. So this is where like the reader comes in, and you know, you draw the things that are needed and leave the rest. But it's still amazing to know everything, which is just impossible, really. But yeah, I'll see what I can do. Definitely want to do more podcasts about tarot cards, and I'm hoping I could set up some kind of a camera or something. I try to upload these podcasts on YouTube as well. So if I could set up a camera, I could even just do like flip throughs of the tarot decks that I have, because I personally love watching flip through videos. Yeah, or even yeah, I don't know. For example, I have so many different types of Thoth decks. I could also go through them if you know, that could be of interest. I personally like. I really love videos like that. It's like almost like a guilty pleasure. And I love it when people like review decks, or if I'm interested in a new deck or I want to see like the artwork and you find them online. I think that's great. So I might do that. Yeah, I hope that you have more questions about tarot, because it's just never ending and it's a lot of fun. It's really not evil. If you know, I know a lot of people think that tarot is evil. Is really not evil. I use it as a tool. It's it really like shows a clarity in maybe your thoughts, your path, or if you're not really sure what to do, it really does kind of like show maybe show, you know, which way to go, what to do first, or whatever it is that you want. It just saves you the trouble of making a list and prioritizing things. That's what it is. It's like you have, let's say you have 10 different thoughts and you do a reading and then kind of like prioritizes one of them or two of them. This is what you start with. This is, you know, I guess everyone is different, and you can do a lot of different practices. I normally do like weekly spread as well. And then for the new moon and for full moon as well. So there's so many things you can do. But yeah, we can, I'm sure, talk about that at a later point. I'll see if I can like put together some like notes just so I can keep myself to the topic and make it a little bit interesting. All right. I'll leave you with that, and I wish you a good night or good day, and I'll speak to you very soon.